There is no doubt that the Sennheiser MKH 416 is a legendary mic that produces professional, amazing crisp audio, but it's probably overkill for the vast majority of you out there, which is why I think that the Sennheiser MKE 600 is probably your best buy and will dramatically improve your audio. Let's dive in. So throughout this entire video, I will be switching between audio sources. Right now, you are hearing the MKH 416, and it's plugged directly into my Zoom F3, and I am running 32-bit float audio. And from time to time, I'll switch over to the onboard mic on my Sony a7S III. Just for giggles. But I really wanted to focus today's video on what I think is a gem of a mic, the Sennheiser MKE 600. And it's sort of been overlooked or overshadowed by the 416. And I want to tell you why I think that this little mic here, the shotgun mic, is probably the perfect mic for YouTubers, even pro level stuff like short films or documentaries and corporate interviews, things like that, because it actually packs a tremendous punch and it's extremely versatile. Is the 416, which is about $700, $800 more expensive than the 600, really that much better in sound quality? We're going to find out today. So let's start off with some of the features of the Sennheiser MKE 600 and why it's extremely versatile. And it all starts with this little toggle switch here. Not to mention a roll-off switch to give you a flat frequency or to cut off the low-end rumbles that you would get from like wind, for example, or some ambient sounds if you're not sound treating properly, which I tend to actually keep it on the flat profile. But the real magic is here. That battery makes this mic extremely versatile because not only can you run an XLR cable and go directly into a phantom powered recorder like the F3, but you can also run this directly to your camera for convenient audio syncing. So let's switch over. You've been hearing the 416 for the majority of this video so far. What does the Sennheiser sound like when you plug directly into a 32-bit recorder and use phantom power and an XLR cable? And then I want to hear what it sounds like when you plug it directly into the camera. Then we'll go outside and we'll do some tests in a really, really windy environment right now. We actually have a storm coming in LA, and I'll show you what that sounds like compared to the 416 and the DJI mic. Okay, so we just switched over to the Sennheiser MKE 600. Previously, you guys were hearing the 416. This is what the MKE 600 sounds like unprocessed, just raw, exactly what it's delivering. No EQ, no compression, nothing. Maybe a little bit of like volume equalization, but that's it. The 416 is a legendary mic. This thing is battle proven. And I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that this isn't better than that. The 416 is a better microphone than the MKE 600. Later on in my final thoughts, I'll tell you why, but I don't want you to overlook the 600. There is a huge price difference between these two mics. And in terms of sound quality for YouTube, for talking heads, are you really going to hear a dramatic, is your audience going to hear a dramatic difference between the 416 and the 600? And right now you guys are hearing a DJI wireless mic, raw, unprocessed, no compression, nothing like that. And this is what the DJI mic sounds like with my presets. EQ'd, compression, all that good stuff. Is there a big difference between the DJI mic, the MKE 600, which is now completely processed with all my presets, my compression, a limiter, all that good stuff, noise cancellation? Do you hear a big sound difference? You should. The MKE 600 should sound a lot better. Boomed overhead like this, running directly into an XLR phantom powered recorder, it should. Do you guys want to hear the Sennheiser 416 one more time? Let me plug in the 416 and we'll just hear what it sounds like unprocessed. Okay, now we're back on the MKH 416. This is the MKE 600 in my hands. Unprocessed, this is what the MKH 416 sounds like. Look, to my ears, yes, I've done a lot of this. I own a lot of mics. There's a difference between the 416 and the 600. I can hear a difference, and that difference is very flattering. The highs on the 416 are a little bit more present, and they don't break up as easy as a 600. Maybe that's the wrong word to use, easy, but it's a little bit more stable. It has a flattering profile, and it has that signature Sennheiser sound, that 416 sound. But I'm willing to bet that most of you probably didn't hear a big difference. Okay, now as far as the indoor test, I want to do one more thing. I want to plug in the MKE 600 directly to the Sony a7S III, and let's see how that sounds like. Okay, now you guys are still hearing the 416, but this is what makes the 600 so versatile. I can just pop on this switch right here, turn on the internal battery, which will now provide power to the microphone. They include this XLR to 3.5 millimeter input jack adapter, so you can go straight to your camera. And I have an extension cord that's running because I'm going to try to hand hold this thing and boom it. Okay, now let me make sure my audio levels are good. I have to hold the mic, unfortunately, because I don't have any more boom arms. I left them in the studio, but this is what the MKE 600 sounds like directly to my Sony a7S III unprocessed. This is what the MKH 416 sounds like going into the F3 Zoom recorder running 32-bit float. This is what the DJI mic sounds like. Again, all of them are unprocessed, and this is recording directly internally into the DJI mic system. So all three of these mics right now are raw. Now this is what the MKE 600 sounds like, processed with my presets and all that good stuff. Here's what the MKH 416 sounds like, processed with all my presets and so forth. And finally, this is what the DJI mic sounds like, processed with my presets and so forth. I'm willing to bet that all of them sound really, really good. And I'm also willing to bet that the MKE 600 sounds amazing for the price, $300, something like that, versus the MKH 416, which is around $1,000. And the DJI mic, this is the original DJI mic, which I think is discounted now at about $300, something like that. So you're getting a lot, right? Let's go outside and let's see what these mics sound like in harsh conditions where currently there's a lot of wind going on. So this is what the Sennheiser MKE 600 sounds like. Outdoors, there's a lot of wind, unprocessed, nothing done to the mic at all. It's fully recording, nothing going on. And now this is what the MKE 600 sounds like, processed with my presets, compression, all that good stuff. There's a lot of wind going on right now. For comparison, you are now hearing the DJI mic. This is the DJI lavalier mic. This is what the DJI lavalier mic sounds like outdoors. Lots of wind, there's a dead cat on it too. And now this is what the DJI mic sounds like, processed with my presets, all that good stuff, and so forth. Again, we're back to the Sennheiser MKE 600. This is what the MKE sounds like. This is probably the most optimal thing, right? Like it's up close to my voice. If I raise it up a little bit. Okay, so this is probably, let's break it down a little bit more. So this is probably the MKE 600 in the most ideal boomed situation where it's quite a bit further away. And this is what the MKE sounds like, unprocessed. This is a 600 unprocessed, no, presets, nothing like that. And now this is what it sounds like, completely processed with all my presets. There's a lot of wind. It's actually flapping back and forth. But hopefully this is a good comparison of the MKE 600. Now let's check out the MKH 416, the legendary mic, and compare it to the MKE. And we are also going to run the MKE directly into the F3 recorder, because right now this is a test running directly to the Sony a7S III. So everything you've been hearing right now is directly to the Sony a7S III, not the XLR phantom powered setting. This is the battery setting, the internal setting with the switch turned on. So MKE 600, let's get the 416. The 416 can't plug directly into the camera because it doesn't have an onboard battery and a switch to power it. It needs phantom power. So I have it plugged in directly to the Zoom F3 right now. We're gonna have to do XLR only, obviously, but this is what it sounds like outdoors with a lot of wind. Does it sound $800, $700 better? I don't know. Let's switch over now back to the 600. And we will plug the 600 directly XLR into the Zoom F3, and we'll see how that sounds like. And finally, for my last trick, here is the Sennheiser 600, not the 416, outdoors, plugged directly into my Zoom F3 using 32-bit float for both the 600 and the 416. And this is what it sounds like outdoors in the environment with the dead cat. How does it sound to you guys? Does it sound good? Let's get back inside because it's getting really cold, and I'll finish with my final thoughts. Okay, now we're back inside. I'm gonna give you guys my final thoughts. I'm just gonna hold the MKE 600. One last thing I wanna check out is the roll-off switch. It's engaged right now. This is the roll-off switch, and this is the flat profile. So I don't know if that makes a big difference. You can see that the 416 is still boomed, running straight to the F3, and we have the DJI wireless mic that's pinned in a pretty good spot. This is usually where you want it, right between your chest. So all mics are in great, ideal proximity. So my final thoughts. Where does the MKE 600 land in all of this? The MKE 600 is a fantastic microphone. You are now getting into the entry-level segment of the pro category. It's going to significantly improve your sound. And I really do think for the majority of you out there, if you're doing documentaries, if you're doing even some short films, if you're doing some client work, but you're primarily a YouTuber, you're primarily a social media influencer, this is probably the best mic, the best bang for your buck, in my opinion. What are you getting in that $800, $700 price range when you level up to the 416? The 416 is now offering you precision. It's offering you better build quality, and it's offering you more robust reliability. The best of the best when it comes to RF rejection. The best of the best when it comes to weather sealing and weather rejection. You are getting a pro level microphone that's going to probably outlive you, and it's going to give you reliable, consistent results. That's what you're paying in the price difference. Yes, you are also getting a better sound. Without question, you are. You are getting a tighter, more precise, more tuned, and more specific sound. The 416 is the mic that I prefer for outdoor use, even for indoor use if it's well sound treated. And yes, I've done a video on shotgun mics and indoor uses and why you should probably use a pencil microphone or a small condenser microphone if you don't have the proper sound treatment. That's a different story, but go check out the 416's brother for indoor use, which is the MKH 50, which is again a phenomenal microphone for indoor dialogue. A little trivia for you guys, the MKH 50 was used for indoor dialogue for both Breaking Bad and The Dark Knight, and the MKH 416 was used in a bunch of movies. It's legendary. It was used on Jaws, for example. Like, it's been used for quite some time. It's still being used today. Not as much as a main microphone. It's sort of taken a back seat as a backup microphone. There's other microphones that have taken over for outdoor usage. But it's funny, the MKH 50 is still a indoor microphone that's preferred till this day. So Sennheiser has an amazing reputation. The MKE 600 continues on with that reputation. You're getting a very, very well-built microphone that is geared towards YouTubers. Now, if you have the cash and you can only get one mic, yeah, get the 416. I'll give you an example when I use my 416 and when I use my 600. For YouTube stuff, to be honest, like 80% of the time, I'll use the 600. If I'm gonna boom, right, I'll use the 600. But generally speaking, for YouTube stuff, I kind of use wireless lavalier mics for outdoor stuff, especially if I'm going to be moving around, because I don't have someone like with a boom pole following me around, right? I usually have a stand and that's it. So it's a mixture between the 600 and one of my lavalier mics, whether that's Hollyland, DJI, Rode, depends, the flavor of the month. Now for professional work, if I'm getting paid, if a client's paying me 10 grand or higher, I'm going to whip out my professional gear. The 416 will be my primary mic for outdoor use, hands down. And we're going to have a boom operator, and he's going to be booming and all that good stuff. We're going to be running through one of my recorders, whether it's the F3 or the F6, and we're going to be running 32-bit float. We're also going to be using the MKH 50 for indoor dialogue. Those are my professional mics. Those are set aside for my professional mics. But for YouTube, and most of the time, I'm going to be using the MKE 600. For vlogging, I actually use the MKE 400 because I really like that microphone. Yeah, from time to time, for doing a little bit better quality stuff, but it's still for YouTube, we'll boom this mic. It's phenomenal. We'll get a boom operator and we'll boom it, and it sounds great. But if you're serious about audio, you should get the MKE 600 because it will level up your audio. But you should also get a lavalier mic, a wireless lavalier mic. A lavalier mic in general should be in your arsenal, even when you have a great mic like the 416, because worst case scenario, it's your backup mic, right? You can mic up the talent and be creative and hide it where it looks like there's nothing there, and you still have backup audio. But also, if there's going to be a lot of movements, or you're going to be really far away from the source, from the talent, you can't boom it, right? It's going to show up. So you need to use a lavalier mic. So in my opinion, you should get a shotgun mic and you should get a lavalier mic, and that should cover the majority of your audio. And you're going to get great results. So in conclusion, the 416 is the better mic, hands down. For YouTube, for the majority of you guys, 85% of you guys out there, the 600, it's going to be more than enough for you. I guarantee it. If you guys are interested in a comparison video between maybe budget-friendly shotgun mics, or better yet, entry-level pro shotgun mics like the Sennheiser versus, I don't know, Rode or Deity or something like that, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to do that for you guys. Also, one last thing, if you found this video informative, please consider subscribing and joining our channel memberships to help us make videos like this one. That's it for me, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. Take care, everybody.